Hello again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Captain.
I'm Lynn.
And today we're going to be reviewing and showing you how to play and talking about Her Story. So I think Her Story is the correct way to pronounce the title. It says, as a subtitle, it says Iconic Women of History. They do have it on the box, they have it as Her Story, like two words. But on the website and also on Board Game Geek, they've put it as like one word, like a her version of history. So like her story. So I think Her Story is right, but maybe Her Story.
I think it's Her Story.
It is Her Story, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not crazy on that one.
Right. Wait. Well, then here it says in Her Story.
Right? I still think it's Her Story.
But the S is capitalized. It's one word, but it's capital H and capital S.
Okay,
so it's still like Her Story.
But
one word.
I'm gonna mostly go with Her Story. I'm gonna mostly go with Her Story.
Her Story sounds better.
It sounds better, yeah. So let's go with Her Story. Her Story sounds weird. That said, I want to give a big thank you to one of the designers of Her Story, friend of the channel, Danielle Reynolds, who, when she used to live in the area, had appeared in multiple reviews on this channel because she sent me this review copy to be able to check out. She's one of the co-designers of this game. The three co-designers are...
we have Nick Bentley, Danielle Reynolds, and Emerson Matsuchi.
And Danielle sent us this copy to be able to play and check out and review. And spoiler alert, I've quite enjoyed it. So thank you very much for this copy of Her Story to film some content with and play on our game nights. So now, before we get too into this, I do want to say I've got a ton of links in the description down below that you can check out at your leisure. There's a link to BoardGameCaptain.com, which is a great hub for all things Board Game Captain. There's a link to my Teespring store where you can get some cool Board Game Captain merch, t-shirts, mugs, etc. And there's a link to my Patreon if you're in a position to and would like to support the channel. Now, Lynn, give us the stats on Her Story.
2 to 5 players.
So we've played this at 3 and 2 players, and I would say it plays equally well at both.
Yeah, it's the game's going to be longer at the more players.
Right. But there's because the only player interaction is basically taking cards and tiles the other players want. The only thing you have to that really changes is that there's more chances for people to take cards and tiles that you want on the way around the table the more players you have.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's actually plays pretty much the same regardless of player count. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. What's next?
8+. Yeah, it's a basic like
I would say yes, with the caveat that maybe not just 8-year-olds.
Well, no, like 3 8-year-olds are not going to sit down and
play Her
this.
Story.
No,
Yeah,
they're going to be playing something with more colors and animals.
yeah. So I'm not. Yeah, I would say because this is an educational game.
Yeah.
There is definitely an educational spin on this, which I really like. It very much feels like a family weight game, so that you get the whole family together and you play, and you could teach your daughter or daughters about interesting women of history, interesting historical characters.
And your sons, too.
And your sons, too. That's true. No, that's true. That's 100% true. But yeah, no, I was just thinking about the whole, like, teaching your daughters to be prideful of being female and all the great women in history that came before them. But also, you're right, also teach your sons to respect women, and that there have been many great women who have made great impacts on history. So sure. And what's the final?
30 to 60 minutes.
It's not a bad range. I like this range.
I think full 5 players is going to be over 60 minutes, though.
Especially if some of the people are their first time playing.
Yeah.
But this is not a terrible range. I'm going to say mostly, yeah, because at 2 players, you can get it in at 30 minutes. Especially if you're both experienced at it. So I'm going to say, yeah, actually, this is probably one of the better time estimates we've seen in a lot of games. Let's open it up and see what comes in the box. I'll grab the rulebook first while you're opening that up. Now, the rulebook is really nice. The rulebook is actually linen finish and feels like really thick. I feel that.
Is it linen?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It is. This is a really nice rulebook. The paper feels thick and substantial with a linen finish on it to make the pages just slide. They don't stick together at all, which is really great. It has full color diagrams showing you the setup. It has lots of color illustrations. This is an excellently done rule book for a family weight game. I had no big questions on how to play after I read these rules, and I was immediately ready to teach other people how to play. I do want to give a big shout out and show this from the back that we have a bunch of Her Story educator advisors and student researchers that helped to put together all of the historical information of the characters in this game, which is really awesome. So what's the first thing we've got in the box?
We have like a little envelope of extras.
Yeah, there's a lot of little extra goodies here. There's like big postcards of some of the historical characters here with their signatures, like little signatures of them on the bottom. We have which some of them are obviously not real.
That's not their actual signatures.
Yeah,
It's a font.
There's Frida, there's Joan of Arc, there's Maya Angelou, there's one for Marie Curie. Like specifically, I'm pretty sure we don't have an example of Joan of Arc's signature.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's real. There's a little catalog for other games by the company Underdog Games, which I always get a kick out of. And there's also some stickers, similarly a bunch more of the characters as well as bookmarks. Here's a bookmark of Dolly Parton, another one of Alice Walker, for instance. Yeah, a lot of different, these are just fun little extras. They didn't need to do this, but I love that they did. I love extras in board games, so I'm all about this envelope of extras. This is really nice. What do we got next?
We have
the player boards.
Player boards. I just noticed that they were double-sided.
Yes, they are, and these are really nice. You're going to see more of these out on the table, but they come in all the different possible player colors. We have blue, yellow, pink, kind of a greenish. What would you call that green?
That's turquoise.
Turquoise, and white. Really good. I think they picked some good colors because these are all easy to differentiate on the tabletop. Mm-hmm. There's none of these that I confuse with each other. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have the little push pins.
Now these are great. These are the same colors. They come in the same colors as the player boards. Mm-hmm. There is a scoreboard on the board, and you use these around the scoreboard to keep track of points. They don't have a specific thing that they tell you to do for if you go by the max score and lap the board. But these are real easy to figure out. Oh, just turn them on their head, and that's you've lapped the board. We figured that out right away. And the thing is, most games we wind up lapping the board in the scoreboard. So most people wind up doing it in our games. So
we have a little bag.
I really like this little, I don't know if it's like pleather or whatever. Yeah. It's like a pleather board bag with the HS. And this is for the tokens.
The research tokens.
Which, let me pull out a couple of these. These are double-sided too, and they show you the symbols of research that you have to collect to be able to get. I'm just going to grab a different one here. I grabbed the same one. There we go. Here's some different symbols. These are the tokens. You're going to see a lot more of these out on the table. What else we have?
Then we have a bunch of cards.
Now, the cards are, one side is the historical character. The symbols, which are very clear on the side there, that you need to collect to draft this character. And on the other side, they have their information, their story. And there are lots of characters in here. Some might be familiar to you. Some might be not so familiar to you. Like, for instance, I would say most people in the modern day know who Gina Davis is, but maybe you don't know who Maria Montessori is. And that's one of the cool things about this game, is because at the end of the game, whoever wins gets to pick one of their characters they have drafted that maybe they don't know enough about, and they'd like everybody at the table to learn a little bit about, and you get to read a little story about them, which is actually one of my favorite parts of this game. I think it's so educationally fun and characterful. And... well, you didn't say what it was.
It is the player board. Well,
you just pulled it out.
The game board. I don't remember what they call it.
It's the main board.
Yeah.
It's the main board, which is a big neoprene mat. I like when they do neoprene mats as boards. This one is very nice. It's got this gold kind of color to it, and a pattern in the back, and you have the pictures of cameras there for where all the character cards go. It has a scoreboard that goes around the outside. And a big thing I want to call out to amazing production on this, it is sewn around the edges, which this is great because sometimes neoprene mats, the top and the bottom will start separating. And this is not going to happen with this, because this is really well manufactured, really well put together. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous components. Also, the insert, just quick shout out before we move on. There's a place for everything in here, and there's even extra space if they ever do expansions with more cards for this. There's enough room for a lot more cards. So, big shout out to the production of this because this is really awesome. Without any further ado, though, I think we're going to take you to the table, and we're going to run you through a number of turns of this so you can get an idea on how to play this game. And then we're going to come back. We're going to talk about how this game plays and how it feels, and we're going to rate it and review it. Okay, so here we are set up to play a two-player game of Her Story. Now, I am on this side of the table, and I will be playing the, what would you call that, Lynn? Is that turquoise?
Yeah, turquoise.
I'll be playing the turquoise player. And Lynn?
And I'm over here, and I will be the hot pink.
Very good. So to set up, the first thing you need to do is set out the board, which is this nice neoprene board here. You set that up in the middle of the table. I recommend rolling it back on itself to make sure it lays flat. Then you have to shuffle up the chapter cards and place them character side up. They're a little bit off screen on the top above the board here. And you deal out chapter cards into the areas on the board, which are all our different historical characters. Lynn, what historical characters do we have to start off our board with?
Amelia Earhart, Sally Ride, Susan B. Anthony, Laura Clay, and Susan LaFlèche-Picotte.
I am not familiar with her. Interesting. Okay.
I don't know either of the last two ladies.
So, moving along, the next thing you do is you take the research tokens and you shuffle them up in this nice little baggie here. And then you deal random research tokens out to the spaces on the board. You give each player a color push pin and put them next to the one space on the board there for keeping track of points. Everyone takes a push pin in their color. Then you have to take a personal board in your color. We have them placed here for easy being able to see them. The personal board has an area for putting your research tokens on. It has an area for drafted characters that you can take their chapter cards and put there, and then it has your final chapter area because you're trying to make a book on famous women in history. That is a big part of her story here, her story. You are trying to get 8 chapters in a book that you are writing on famous historical characters. Each player then also takes a cheat sheet for keeping track of all the different things they can do, as well as a library card, which you can use twice per game, and we're going to go over and use it at least once in this example. And then you're ready to play. Now, the basic way that the game says you start play is with the player that most recently finished reading a book. We're going to go by that, which means Lynn is going to be the first player. Lynn, what was the last book you finished reading?
Oh, it was Burn the Negative by, I think it was Josh Winning, I think was his name.
I like, I'm not usually a huge fan of these odd little ways to pick the first player in these games. I usually just prefer to do it randomly, but I do have to say this one is very, very characterful, so I do enjoy that because the game is about writing a book. So Lynn, for your first turn, which of the 3 options are you going to avail yourself of?
I'm going to do research and take this token because it's the only one with 3 pictures on it. 3
of the research symbols.
Yes.
So it has 2 of the light bulbs, which are thinking, and 1 of the open book, which is reading. Fair enough reason to want to do research.
I just realized there was another one.
Oh, there is another 3 one. Yes, indeed. There is indeed. But the 2 light bulbs and the reading are quite good. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do a draft because there's one of the characters out there that I would really like to reserve for myself. And that is Susan B. Anthony. I really like her ability and the fact that she has a good ability with still having points. The other characters out there who have nice abilities on them to give you extra symbols are worth 0 points. She's worth 4 points. Now, doing that, doing a draft gives me 2 points, so Lynn has just moved my pin up 2 points there. And then we replace the card. Who is our new character here?
Rachel Carson.
Rachel Carson is our new historical character to join the board. So that is it for my turn.
Let's see. I'm going to do more research and take this other one that has 3.
That's completely understandable. I'm going to do some research now. Also, I'm going to take this one that has a little green word bubble, which stands for interviewing, as well as a light bulb, which again is thinking.
I'm going to take another research, this one with the 2 magnifying glasses.
Very good. Oh, that is a good one. I'm going to do another research. Lynn, would you pass me the one all the way at the end there? Because that is really good for what I'm working towards at the moment.
Okay, I'm going to do research again and take this one.
Now, research is important because you're going to need it to actually get those chapters written. So it's totally understandable why Lynn is doing so much research. And I'm going to follow up by doing a lot of research too. I'm going to take this one with the 2 thinking research. Because it is perfect for what I am going for as well.
And I'm going to get the 2 book one research also.
I'm going to draft Sally Ride over here, which gives me 2 points, and then she gets her place. Would you move me up on the score over there, Lynn?
I'm going to add a chapter to my book. I'm going to pay for her to add it directly.
Oh, you didn't draft her at all. You went straight to, wow, okay, well done. So now what do you need to pay for her?
2 light bulbs.
Okay, so that gets to start it off next to the board.
4 magnifying glasses.
Now, you did not get it exactly. Let me just show this here. So these are the tokens Lynn is using. There's some extra symbols, but she did get to fulfill all the symbols, which means she gets to add, that is who?
Mary Lyon.
Now, Mary Lyon gets to be added to Lynn's board, so she's completed her first of 8 chapters. Now, she gets Lynn 1 point, so Lynn's going to get on the scoreboard because there's a 1 in the top corner, top left corner of Mary Lyon's card there. But she also, as a lower point card, probably has a really cool ability. What was her ability?
Says at game's end, 1 point for every 2 light bulbs in your book.
That's amazing because you've already got 2 light bulbs in the book, which means she's already worth 3 points just on her own. Mm-hmm. So I know exactly what Lynn is going to be really working towards here, which is lots and lots of light bulbs. So now I'm going to just do a bit of research and take this one with the 2 magnifying glasses, which is searching. And then it is back to Lynn's turn again.
I'm going to draft Laura Clay.
Okay, so that gets you 2 points. 1 behind me at the moment. And who are we replacing Laura with?
Yuri Kochiyama.
Ah, hello, Yuri. I'm going to take... I'm going to do some more research and take another token here.
I'm going to do a research for this double light bulb token.
I'm going to do research for this token here. I've almost filled up my board of tokens there.
I'm going to take this double word bubble token.
I'm going to do 1 more research, filling in my last space on my board. Now, if I wanted to do more research after this, I could discard one while doing the research.
I'm going to take another 2 word bubble token.
Okay, so I am going to now complete a chapter, and I'm going to complete a chapter on Sally Ride. So Sally Ride requires 3 of the book symbols and 3 of the magnifying glass symbols. So I've got 2 magnifying, 3 magnifying in 1 book, and 2 of the books from here. Again, not exact. I get no points for Sally Ride, so I do not go up further on the scoreboard, but I do get a really nice special ability where for any completion of a chapter, she can give me exactly 2 free of the green word bubbles, which is searching. Now you have to use all of them or none of them. So I have to use exactly those 2 if I would like to use her ability for completing another chapter.
I'm going to research this token.
Fair enough. I'm going to complete a second chapter by completing a chapter on Susan B. Anthony here. So now you place them above the one you've already completed, and the reason is to make sure that the abilities are still visible. Now Susan B. Anthony requires 4 of the searching, which is the word bubbles, and 4 of the thinking, which is the little light bulb. Now I have 2 of the searching from Sally Ride, 3 and 4 there, and I have 2, 3, and 4 there for my 4 thinking. That is exactly what I need, which means Susan B. Anthony gets me 4 points for what's listed on her card, but then for getting, and you get an exact bonus if you use exactly the symbols you needed of 3 more points, which skyrockets me all the way up to 11 points, but clears out my tokens completely. So now I'm starting from scratch for working on my next chapter.
I am going to complete a chapter.
Oh, who's your chapter on?
Laura Clay,
Okay.
and she needs 4 word bubbles and 4 light bulbs.
Now she gets you 4 points, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And she also, if that was not an exact bonus, so you don't get the 3. But keep in mind, now it looks like Lynn is a little bit behind here. She is 1, 2, 3, 4 points behind you. But keep in mind, she already drafted a character that gets her 1 point for every light bulb in her book. And how many light bulbs do you have in your book now?
I have 6 now.
Which really means that the reality of the situation here is Lynn is being tricksy, because while she is behind me on points right at this moment, at the end of the game, and based on what we've drafted already, she's actually ahead of me on points by 2 points, I believe, yes?
No, it's 1 point for every 2. So I have 3 extra points.
Oh, okay. So you're 1 below me. You're almost ahead of me. I thought it was 1 point for every 1. My mistake. But still, as you can see, sometimes there are hidden points in this game that you don't realize you're going to be able to get. I'm going to draft Claudette Colvin because I would like to reserve her for myself. Looks like Anne Frank just came up and joined the board. And that will get me 2 points. What would you move me up to?
I'm going to draft Amelia Earhart.
Ooh, good choice.
And Kathy Williams comes up.
I'm going to do some research. I'm going to take this token with the reading and the interviewing on it and add it to my board.
I'm going to take the double book research token.
I'm going to write another chapter. So the great thing about this is Claudette Calvin actually had most of her requirements already done by the special abilities that I had from Sally Ride and Susan B. Anthony. When she came up, I was really happy. Because Susan B. Anthony gets me 1 of the thinking, and Sally Ride gets me 2 of the interviewing. And then this 1 token finishes me off in an exact fashion with 1 more of the interviewing and 1 of the reading, which means I get 9 points. That is a huge point swing for me there. And I will go skyrocketing up the points. That is it for me on my turn.
I'm going to draft Kathy Williams.
Well, that gets you 2 points. There you go. I'm going to do some research and take this tile here.
I'm going to research with this tile.
I'm looking for a particular token that is not out there. So I'm going to use the library card. I'm going to flip it face down. For the first time you use it, you clear the board and replace all of the tiles with new tiles. Lynn is replacing those for me there. Let's see if the tile I'm looking for came up. Not yet. It's not the one I am looking for. No, still not the one I'm looking for. Come on, I got my fingers crossed over here, really hoping for it. There it is. That is the one I am looking for. Now, when you do visit the library, you have to do that as part of a research action, which means I will take the one I was directly looking for, and I will place it in my area, and that will be it for my turn.
Hey, I'm going to research that token.
I'm going to complete a chapter from the board this time. I'm going to be doing Anne Frank. I have 4 of the green symbols here and 3 of the light bulbs here, which lets me complete Anne Frank. I'm going to put her straight into my book here. Now, this is going to be another exact bonus, which means a total of 13 whopping points. I'm currently at 22. That will bring me to 35, which is huge. When one player gets to the 8th chapter, that triggers the final round. You finish out the current round you're on. So in this case of a 2-player game, if I had triggered the final round with my 8th chapter being completed, that would be the end of the game because Lynn had started as the first player. But if Lynn triggered the final round, I would still get 1 more turn. Once the round is completed, we check our end of game scoring, like that card that Lynn drafted. That's going to get her a bunch more points for all of the light bulbs in her book. And then whoever has the most points wins the game and gets to pick one of the characters from their book to read a story on for everyone. So I'm going to pick a character that I think maybe people aren't as familiar with. I'm going to pick Claudette Colvin. Just because I have the most points right now, I don't know if I would actually win this game. But Claudette Colvin was born in 1939, and at the time of the printing of this game is still with us. She is a civil rights activist and advocate. Her story is on March 2nd, 1955, 9 months before Rosa Parks' milestone protest, 15-year-old Claudette Colvin refused to give up her seat on a Montgomery, Alabama bus. She was arrested and jailed. Claudette was one of the first to challenge segregation laws in court, but the NAACP chose Rosa Parks as the face of the boycott because she was an adult and a member of the organization. Did you know that while still a teenager, Claudette was one of 4 female plaintiffs in Bowder versus Gale, the court case that led to the desegregation of buses in Alabama? So there you go. Now there's a character that is possibly a little bit of an overlooked historical character because of the exact role she played in the civil rights movement. So now we're going to head back over. We're going to talk about how this game plays and how it feels, and we're going to rate it and review it. Okay, so that was how you play a game of Her Story. So we're going to start with some negatives, and then we're going to do some positives. The basic idea, though, here obviously is that Her Story is a set collecting, drafting sort of game. Would you agree with that? Because you set collect the symbols to then draft the cards. And it has this great theme of writing a book, also the women's history theme. It's an educational game. All of that is in there. But we're going to start with some negatives so we can end on the positives. Lynn, what is your first negative you have for Her Story?
My negative is that there is no way to clear all the people off the board.
Okay.
To because there is the way to sweep the research tokens,
the
and
library
replace
card,
them, but there's no way to sweep the people.
Now you would have said this before your first game, but in the second game we played, because you saw that I didn't care, I went for a lot of the low point characters because they had cool abilities, some of which were even cool scoring abilities that they could get later. You had later focused in on them. I thought you would kind of move past that as a negative. You still think this is a negative?
Yeah. Because even though I did focus on the abilities, I did have that endgame ability with the light bulbs. And there was one point where there was no one on the board with light bulbs.
So you would still like to be able to sometimes be able to clear the characters. That's fair. That's a fair negative. I can see it. I don't fully think it's like a major negative. Maybe it's a minor negative for me, I'm saying. But I understand where you're coming from on this. Because there is a way to clear the tokens, but there's no way to clear the characters. The closest you have as a way to getting rid of characters is sometimes you could draft characters just to get them out of the way, to have more come up, but that's one at a time.
Yeah.
There's no way to just, en masse clear the board like there is with the library card. All right, I could see that. For me, I have a very minor negative, and this is kind of grasping at straws. So I love the educational nature of this. However, the education portion of the game is completely after the game is done. You'll learn about one new character, and as cool as that is, I really kind of wish there was some education during the game. It feels like because of that, it's kind of like we made this game to be educational, but it's almost an afterthought because the education part comes after the game is completely finished. Now, this is a minor gripe. I love the way the educational portion works. I just would have liked it to be better integrated. But, that's a minor thing. What do you think? Any more negatives?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't really have any more. And the one I had was tough to come up with as it is. Because actually, I really enjoyed this game. I think the game is quite fun. So let's go to the positives then. Lynn, go ahead. Give us your first positive for Her Story.
My first positive is that it is intro to this type of game. What did you say it was?
Well, I'd say set collecting and drafting.
Yeah, it's like I was thinking about it because how what's the one with the troubles? What's the name of that game?
Asking for troubles.
Oh. How asking for troubles is an introduction to worker placement. This is a introduction to
set collecting and drafting.
Yeah, so you could. It's 8+, obviously.
Yeah,
they're the age range that starts with is younger.
Yeah. I didn't think of this, but I totally agree.
It's not a game that I'm gonna want to play all the time because there are more advanced set collecting games that.
But it's great for teaching kids.
Yeah, but if you have like younger kids,
Mhm.
then you can intro them into the set collecting. You know.
Oh, totally. I totally agree. It was not a positive I had thought of, but I totally agree with your using it as a positive. My first big positive is going to be the production. The production of this game is just off the charts. It is a gorgeously produced game. The artwork is just beautiful. We have like gold foiling on the box in those areas around her story. The big neoprene mat with the sewed edges is beautiful. The cards are thick and substantial with beautiful artwork, clear symbology. The chunky cardboard tokens are nice. They were already punched out. You didn't actually have to punch them out. The pleather bag is great. There's no part of this where I'm like, oh yeah, they slacked in that part of the production. Every part of the production of this game is absolutely just gorgeous. So that's my first big plus. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the production's nice.
I love how you never gravitate to that as a positive. All right, what's your next big positive for her story?
It's like it kind of ties in with my other one that it's easy to play and easy. The rules are very minimal.
Yes.
They do have the little cards, the turn, the things that you could do on your turn, but like we never even used them because it was just three things that are easy to remember.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very easy to teach, very easy to play, and this is a great game that you can pull out on almost any game night with almost any crowd of people because of how easy it is to get into it and also how quick it plays because of the fact that this is like half an hour to an hour of a game. It's on like the actual weight of the game is on like the heavier end of lightweights. I don't even think it quite makes it to a middleweight.
Yeah.
It looks like it would be a middleweight, and the fun element feels like a middleweight. But the actual complexity of the game is actually kind of like just on the heavier end of the lightweights. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is a very easy game to pull out. Yeah. Also, and then my next big positive is just going to be that I really enjoy the speed of the turns. You have one choice of things to do on your turn, and all the mechanics just really meld well together. And the fact that it is really good at doing set collecting, drafting. Yeah, it's a fun, streamlined, very streamlined.
It's intuitive.
It's super intuitive. You were saying that you felt like everything just, it all made sense.
Yeah.
Like everything just really came together and made sense. And I think that's really good. She was saying that off camera. All right, so anything else you want to address positives for her story?
I don't think so.
So did we cover it pretty good?
I think so.
All right, so there you go. I mean, we're obviously much more positive than we are negative on this, so we're both going to be on the positive side. Lynn, would you like to go first or second for your rating for her story?
I'll go first.
Okay, so how many stars out of 10 are you going to give to her story?
I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay.
Because like I said before, it's an introduction game. So like I would play this with like kids.
Uh-huh.
Or maybe just even adults who are not gamers.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But like I'm like a random weekend, I'm not gonna be like, oh boy, let's play some Her Story,
So, I mean, 7 is still quite positive, but it's basically the thing that's keeping you from getting into like the rarer ratings of 8, 9, and 10. Is it basically just that it's not that heavy? That it's a lighter weight game?
Yeah.
All right, well, that's fair. I mean, it's basically that you usually prefer to play heavier weight games. Is basically what it comes down to. But 7 is still, for a lighter weight game, is a fairly high score.
And like if anyone like wanted to play it, I mean, because it's so, light, it's like light on rules and quick and easy, I would just be like, fine, you want to play it, let's play it, Yeah,
no, totally.
But I mean, if I had a choice between it and like a heavier game, I would probably choose the heavier one.
All right. So that's fair. So this is you basically what you were saying though is great to play with new gamers, great to play with kids. 7 stars out of 10, overly quite positive.
It's a good icebreaker game.
I agree. I think it's a great icebreaker game. Absolutely, totally agree. I'm gonna go a little bit higher than Lynn's 7 stars. I am going to go 7.5 stars out of 10. I felt like it was just that little bit better. I do also find that it is a little lighter than I would have liked. I would have liked a little bit more to this, but that said, the streamlined nature is great. I really do enjoy it, and I do think it is a fantastic icebreaker game, a great way to ease people into set collecting and drafting. Absolutely great. Thoroughly enjoy it. I'm going to go 7.5 stars out of 10 for her story. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see us do more review and tutorials of board games like this, be sure to give this video a like, share it on all forms of social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain, spelled with a K, on YouTube. And until next time, game on.